Hello, everyone. Today I'm starting a series, and I think that it's time that the public understands how things really work in a real estate brokerage. So I'm going to tell you from the inside out. I'm a real estate broker. I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and been in commercial, been in residential, been with the largest real estate brokerage in the world. And I've been with discount real estate companies and owned my own company for about a decade now. So kind of pretty well rounded, I think. And what we've learned is that the public really doesn't understand or know anything about what a realtor does. And two things happen. One is most of the public thinks that a realtor does more than they actually do. And if they're listing realtors, if they list the homes and sell them. And most of the public thinks that the buyer's agent does a lot less than they actually do if they represent buyers. And realtors do tend to sort of, they shouldn't do this really, but they do tend to sort of become buyers or sellers, what we call listing agents. Now, the way this works is most real estate brokerages take a percentage of their agent's commission. Most of them it's 50%. Typically the commission in Cleveland here is about 7%. I think that's a little higher than around the rest of the country. Most of them, when I lived in San Francisco, I think it was 6. So if you have, it's 7% on the first 100, 6% over 100. So if you have a $200,000 home, around here it's about $13,000 to sell your home. So that listing agent that you call, he will put your home in a multiple listing service. And these days, it goes out to everybody. So all the big brand names, your listing winds up on their websites automatically, okay? It winds up on things like Craigslist and things like Zillow automatically. So once that realtor measures your rooms, often they're measured in advance, maybe takes photos, and once that information is put into the multiple listing service, everything goes on remote control to some extent. The showing service is automated. We pay for it. So they call, when a realtor wants to show your home, they don't call your real estate agent, although we like you to think that they do, but they don't. They call the showing service. The showing service lets us know that somebody is going to show our listing, and they let you know that somebody, but they call you and they set up, they take care of it. And the minute you walk out of the door after showing a house, they ask you for feedback, which is very good. Showing services, there's really only one, and they do a really, really nice job. So there's a multiple listing service which connects you on the internet to everything, pretty much. There's a showing service which sets all the appointments. Now we get an offer, right? Somebody shows our listing, they want to write an offer, an agent calls us up. She sends that listing, that offer over, usually in a writable fashion. So we get it in our email and we can see the offer and we can send it to you, the homeowner. You can counter online. You can scratch off, if we're asking 200,000, offer is 180, we're willing to do 190, put your initials next to it. And when I got my license in the early 90s, this was all done by hand. I set all the appointments. I had to by hand put you in the multiple listing service, which was absolutely brutal because it was analog. If you would drink your coffee, sometimes you'd drop off the system because you weren't typing. We had to take the photos to the store, have them developed. A lot of photos didn't come out. Now it's digital. We had to deliver contracts by hand. This is very much on the listing side automated, and it really is. I'm personally a listing agent, so I like being a listing agent, and I like most of my realtors have the option to charge a lower commission if they feel like they didn't work too hard on a transaction. It's hard to explain, but it's up to them to decide. If you're at most brokerages, it's not up to you. You can charge less, but that brokerage is going to take half of 7%, let's say, okay? So the realtor he can't even tell his mother that he's going to charge him 4% because his broker is going to take half of 7%. On a $200,000 house, they give you a break over 100,000, so it's 6%. So it's 13,000 is a typical commission in Cleveland on a 200,000 home. If it's your mother and you say, Mom, I'm only going to charge you 5, so it's only going to be 10, or I'm charge you 4, it's only going to be 8,000. The broker is like, yeah, well, that's all good and fine, but we're going to take 50% of, as if it was 13,000. Okay, so 7,500, 6,500. Okay, so we're going to take half of that. So you see how that works? So what people don't realize is that on the listing side, a lot of this is automated, and it's really customer service is what we do. So you think these realtors are doing so much for you, but it's a broker secret that they're really not. But then you think they get all that money, and they're really not. Okay. Now on the buyer side, it's very difficult to not see your child play soccer, to miss out on your daughter's choir practice, because you're out showing homes to somebody in the hopes that they might buy a home. And you show somebody 5 or 6 homes on Saturday, 5 or 6 homes on Sunday, then the next weekend, and they finally like one and they buy it. You write an offer, there's counters that go back and forth. It's very stressful, and it takes a lot of work. So, my buyers, they get half of my commissions. So because I'm the owner, I can do that. But in the case of most buyers, they use a lot of gas. There's insurance. There's half to their broker. So when they do get their commission. Oh, and by the way, their commission's reduced. The buyer, let's say a realtor charges 7% on that $200,000 home, 6 over 100. So he's charging $13,000. He's not giving half of that to the buyer's agent. He's only giving 5, okay, to the buyer's agent. So in a way, the buyers do all the work. They pre-qualify their client. They do all the running around. They write the contract and send it over. And the listing agent kind of sits there and he takes the lion's share of the money. So it's a little bit of a secret that people don't know in the real estate industry, is that these brokers really do make a killing. And then once the realtor gets their commission, there's often a desk fee, there's often a tech fee, there's a franchise fee usually. My real estate brokerage doesn't charge any of those. We do have a small errors and omissions fee because, to be fair, there's errors and omissions insurance is expensive, but it's only $25 per transaction. But when you work with your realtor, the listing agents, they do a little bit of work, but really it's mostly in the system. The buyer's agents are killing themselves. So when you think that they are pulling up in that Cadillac and you think they're making a killing, they might not be making enough to cover the cost of that Cadillac sometimes. So be nice to your realtor, because it's a tough world out there for them, and they do work very hard. Okay, have a nice day. More secrets coming in the future.